Um, DOJ actually reached a settlement with the family of Ashli Babbitt for $30 million. Ashli Babbitt, a military veteran, was killed on January 6th while inside of the Capitol. She was shot by Capitol Police Officer Lieutenant Byrd. I think we all witnessed that. I've spoken on it several times. We did some episodes about it. I've been on some other podcasts about it. I've been on some major mainstream about it as well. And when, I witnessed that, I was like, bad shoot. Bad shoot. His life was not in immediate danger, nor was anybody around her in immediate danger. And the reason I said that is because this is on the heels of the 2020 riots. This is on the heels of the Black Lives Matter riots. This is on the heels of all this. And I said, could you imagine if there was a crowd of protesters like there were every night, thousands of protesters going crazy, breaking things, looting, trespassing, all of this stuff. Could you imagine if people are acting aggressively towards me, but far distance from me, not attacking anybody, not assaulting anybody, breaking things? And I shot one of those protesters. You know what would happen? I would have been in jail. I would have lost my job immediately. I would have been immediately arrested. I would have been all over the papers. I would have been demonized. But Lieutenant Byrd was made out to be a hero for a bad shoot, in my opinion. Before we even get into any of this, like the chief, like, what'd you think when you first saw that video of Ashli Babbitt? Did you think that was a good shoot? Like, what were your thoughts around it?
No, I completely thought it was a bad shooting. I mean, you have an unarmed person basically maybe committing criminal trespass. I mean, they weren't supposed to be in the building, allegedly, even though I had heard that she was let in like a lot of other people. She passed other law enforcement there. I believe she even offered one of them offered her a water bottle as she walked to go in. There was an exchange of words to be safe. So there was no, I don't believe there was any necessary for deadly physical force where she was at that point. From my understanding, that she also even asked the law enforcement to come up and stop those individuals from breaking the glass. Originally, they had thought that she was breaking the glass, but in fact, it was later shown that she was asking them to stop. From the video I saw, there was law enforcement in the front, and they eventually moved out of the way, like they were stopping them from even entering in those doors, and they moved away, and people continued to break the glass. Then he uses deadly physical force to stop somebody to do that. That would be you'd be terminated immediately, and you'd be put in jail without a doubt in the NYPD. That would be clearly a bad shooting, not justified, and you would have to question the intent. What was the intent there? You could stop people other ways. You could I don't even know if there was a verbal command as to whether or not to stop what you're doing. But within the NYPD, now you'd right now be wearing an orange jumpsuit, and you'd be in there for a long time. So I totally feel that was definitely an unjustified shooting, and I can't believe that he actually got away with it. I mean, under that administration, it should have been investigated a little better, just like we would have been totally investigated. In fact, doesn't Letitia James investigate unarmed shootings within New York State? So I think that the writing on the wall for the NYPD, you had a completely double standard in the Capitol there.
Yeah, I 100% agree, Rob. There's you wonder about their training when you saw something like that. It's like that shooting was just so terrible. But this whole incident is like, it's like part and parcel of like all the lies and like psyops that have been propagated and promoted by politicians and the media sycophants for the last couple of years, that now it's all coming out that what we were told was a lie, and what they promoted was nonsense, and it's very curious that all of it is surfacing now. And I think I think all of these things are related. This, remember, I talked about popularism a while ago. Populism, it's all connected, because you see the public now having seen all these things, the public is now looking into all of it, and we're all beginning to realize this was nonsense, this was a lie, that wasn't true, and what we've been told isn't correct. And you're seeing things like this being told to us now, that yeah, we were right, what they told us wasn't true. So I think it's all related. I think as the years as time goes on right now, in the coming years, we're seeing all the lies finally surfacing. All the truth is coming out, and I find it utterly interesting that so much of it is happening at this time.
So, that was, again, it was a bad shoot. There's three of us on here. I've spoken to numerous cops. You could have, if Lieutenant Byrd would have at the time went up and grabbed Ashli Babbitt by the hair and slammed her to the floor and threw her in handcuffs, I honestly wouldn't have had a problem with it. I wouldn't have seen anything wrong with it. I would have said, okay, maybe it's excessive. Maybe he didn't need to do that. Maybe he could have ordered her out, right, at the time. But, like, she's trespassing, possibly committing criminal mischief. That was some allegations that were made. So possibly that's a burglary. We know that we can't just shoot, and especially in the NYPD, we can't just shoot people that are committing a burglary, right? There has to be fear of serious physical injury to our death, or death to ourselves or another. Was not present in the hallway at that time. So a retiring police chief from the Capitol Police takes shots at protester Ashli Babbitt's settlement of the civil lawsuit. Chief J. Thomas Menger claims the settlement and $30 million wrongful death suit is insulting to officers who protected the Capitol. I personally don't think it is. I don't think this has anything to do with members of the Capitol. I think this is a misrepresentation of one incident that occurred that day and conflating it to say that, oh, well, if you're against any aspect of anything that happened that day, you don't stand with law enforcement and you don't stand on the side of the Capitol Police. And, and we're often hit with that same criticism constantly when we point out corruption in the NYPD, when we point out failures in public safety in the NYPD, when we point out the failure in the politically appointed management in NYPD management. We're often told we're attacking the rank and file. We hate the NYPD. And it's such the furthest thing from the truth. Chief, what do you think about the chief's statements saying that this is basically a slap in the face to the Capitol Police, the settlement?
I was actually appalled by it. I said, why would a chief specifically say that? The action of one lieutenant who, from what I understand now, is a captain. Why would that one lieutenant, his actions, be what all the other police officers did there that day? It was not a slap in the face. In my opinion, what he did, what Byrd did was wrong, and I can criticize that one individual, but I didn't criticize anybody else in the Capitol Police. I don't say that anybody else in the Capitol Police didn't do their job that day or didn't do anything wrong, but he is just taking it to the next level. And he's saying that, oh, just because what Burr did and because of the settlement of the lawsuit means that you're against everybody there. Well, that's not the case. You take everything on an individual basis. I mean, you can't say that, that somebody does something in the NYPD and it's a reflection on everybody else in the department. And if that person wins a lawsuit, that, oh, it's a slap in the face to everybody else in the department. It's not. It's just you're grouping everybody together. And what I don't like the most is he's pretty quick to say it now on his way out, right? What is the point of that? Like, as he's retiring, he's gonna criticize this. It looks to me like it's a complete political statement, and I wonder what his aspirations or where he's going after this. I mean, this just exhibits the problems with upper management in a lot of the police departments. They forget what it's like to be the police officers and to do the job of the boots on the ground. And they all have their own political aspirations, or what am I going to be doing next? Who's going to be taking care of me? So let me make this statement, and maybe I'll get a job somewhere else, some security job, or working for somebody in the Senate or somebody in Congress. It just seems that this is a self-serving statement, and it doesn't represent what other people believe the rest of his department did at that time. So it's wrong for him to say that. I think he just threw that out there, and it's definitely not appropriate at this time.
Yeah, I think it's a legacy protection, because if you recall, the chief got a congressional medal for what happened on that day, and not just that, but his officers were paraded in front of Congress, and they all spoke about what happened, and they were lauded as like heroes for actions that we're now seeing weren't they didn't happen as they were being depicted by media and those politicians. So I think he's right now he's trying to protect his legacy. You go back to the actions on that day. Instead of having a thorough investigation and being honest with us, they doubled down on what happened, and then again he got an award, and his guys were noted as heroes. And what they should have done was you could have condemned the fact that Babbitt was entering through a closed door, though she seemed to be entering through a window in a closed door. But you could have also condemned the shooting too as being wrong, and again having a proper and thorough investigation. And he didn't then, but he was more than happy to receive the award from the Congressional Gold Medal. He was more than happy to receive that, and I'm sure that looks great on his resume. But now, now that the truth finally comes out, he's trying to backtrack and trying to run cover for the errors that happened, certainly in the aftermath of that incident. So I think this is legacy protection. And as we said before, like I don't think this is any different from a lot of the misguided actions we've seen come from 1PP, to try to run cover for that like the incidents we've spoken about many times that have happened in the last couple of years. It's all legacy protection.
Yeah, so this article comes out from Blaze Media. This is Joseph Hanneman. So the video, the photo I have up on the screen right now, in the caption says Ashli Babbitt punches rioter Zachary Jordan Alam in the nose after he smashed out several windows in the entrance of the speaker's lobby in the U.S. Capitol on January 6th. Babbitt was fatally shot seconds later. So, smashing windows, she protects the Capitol, and she's the one that's shot. So, according to the article, according to the video shot by journalist Taylor Hanson, he and Babbitt freely walked into the hallway outside the speaker's lobby at 2:36 p.m. On the way, they passed Jason Gandalf, a plainclothes House Sergeant-at-Arms officer. Hanson greeted him and said, "Stay safe." Gandalf was walking and looking at his phone at the time. 3 U.S. Capitol Police officers were standing at the end of the hallway outside the Speaker's lobby. Officer Kyle Yetter, Sergeant Timothy Lively, and Officer Lancino. Hansen offered the officers a water bottle while Babbitt talked to the trio. They were the only ones in the hall with Babbitt and Hansen until other protesters began filling the space a short time later. Gandalf told investigators that Babbitt helped to smash glass doors and windows outside of the Speaker's lobby entrance. Video from hallway shows, however, that Babbitt did not touch the doors or the glass, but she did shout to the officers, "Call effing help." In 2021, the DOJ said there was no evidence to show law enforcement broke the law. Yet now the DOJ is agreeing to pay a settlement, Mango wrote. A 14-page DOJ memo on the killing of Babbitt by then Lieutenant Byrd, now a captain, was released in June 22 by Judicial Watch as part of a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit. The memo said that there was insufficient evidence to prove beyond reasonable doubt that Lieutenant Byrd violated Miss Babbitt's civil rights by willfully using more force than was reasonable necessary, or was not acting in self-defense or in defense of others. The DOJ memo criticized because it cited the wrong legal standard for determining whether police lethal force is justified. The gold standard is the 1989 U.S. Supreme Court decision in Graham v. Connor. The High Court said the police use of force should be judged on the Fourth Amendment's objective reasonableness standard without regard for the officer's subjective state of mind. An officer's evil intentions will not make a Fourth Amendment violation out of an objectively reasonable use of force, nor will an officer's good intentions make an objectively unreasonable use of force constitutional, the court said. Even if the force Byrd used in the killing of Babbitt was unreasonable, the government must show that the officer acted willfully, that is, with specific intent to deprave the victim of a constitutional right, the DOJ report said. In this context, willfully means that an act was done voluntarily and intentionally, and with specific intent to do something law forbids. That is, with bad purpose to either disobey or disregard the law. What do you guys think about that? She's actually, the moments before she was shot, she was yelling to the police that she had just spoken with to call for help, and she's trying to stop the people who are smashing the windows, and then she's shot.
Yeah, I mean, so she's literally asking for help, and then Byrd ends up, shooting her, and they're questioning whether obviously he intentionally shot her, right? He pulled the trigger. So I mean, how is that justifiable? I mean, did Byrd not hear that? I mean, what was his frame of mind at that time? What was his thought process? I mean, he was never really investigated for the incident in itself. So how do we even know? He, in fact, if I read the article correctly, he didn't testify later on. He didn't show up or anything else. Could you imagine in the NYPD that you had to go to a grand jury for a shooting and you didn't show up because you felt you didn't have to justify your shooting? I mean, that's criminal contempt of court right there. So, I mean, how does this person just get away with everything completely and not even have to justify his shooting? So it's just crazy that he thinks that he could just shoot somebody like that and not be held accountable for it. I mean, obviously, she was clearly looking for help. I almost questioned the fact, was she trying, because the crowd was also pushing up against them at that point. Was she actually trying to get through there to maybe stop anybody else from, going through the doors? She might have been. I think she also has a military background. So is she looking there to help law enforcement? Based on the facts of her walking through there, talking to them, telling them to be safe. I don't think her intent was to hurt any police officer or any law enforcement. And I think she was clearly looking to go in there to stop, and she requested help by law enforcement, and they refused. So the intent by with Bird was obviously, if you're going to shoot somebody, your intent is to stop that individual, right? We're taught not to kill, we're taught to stop, but the results with her death. So he should be held accountable for that. You know, he could have used, like you said earlier, John, he could have used other force. He could have taken her into custody, could have stopped her. He didn't even walk up to that door and push her back as she's climbing in through that window. That would have been the easiest thing to do. Hey, get back. But no, he stood behind the door and points his gun and shoots her. I don't think it's justified.
Yeah. The fact that his first thoughts were to reach for his firearm is like crazy, you know. If that, imagine a NYPD cop, you know, your first thought to react to a even if let's say even if she was aggressive, your first thought is to reach for your firearm, even though you have a gun belt with all these tools. You know, you have your asp, you have your mace, you have all these tools at your reach, but your first idea, and a taser, but your first idea is to reach for the firearm. Is pretty pretty absurd to me. But you know, it goes to show you just how far this incident has dragged on, and how you know, again, what we were told wasn't the truth, and it's just absurd to me how much of January 6th has been like shrouded in a mist of lies and deception and like propaganda from like media and politicians.
No, it's it really it was 2020 was a mind-boggling time, man. I just watched everything I knew, every institution I trusted, just basically fail and lie to all of us.
You've just watched a clip from our live episode. Click the description to watch the full episode. Like, share, and subscribe for more videos just like this.